Hello everyone, it's Heather Klug, the registered dietitian from the Karen Jans Women's Cardiac Awareness Center. So it's week 4 of National Nutrition Month. Now the first 3 weeks we've been exploring a world of flavors. Week 1 we did Mediterranean, week 2 was Latin American, week 3 was African, and today I'm doing Asian. Now, Asia is an incredibly large continent, so as you can imagine, it was tough to narrow down what to make for you guys. So I thought I'd do 2 recipes for you. So today I'm going to do a healthier version of the Orange Sesame Chicken that's really popular in a lot of restaurants. And then I'm going to show you how to make a sauteed bok choy dish. All right, so first thing we're going to do for the orange sesame chicken, we're going to make the sauce for it. So normally the sauces for orange sesame chicken is usually super high in sodium. I'm going to show you like a secret ingredient that you can use to slash the sodium by like 73% in the sauce. All right, so let's get going with the sauce. So in the bowl, I have a little bit of honey. You can keep that out if you don't want the sauces sweet. I have about a tablespoon in there. We're going to add a little bit of orange juice. And just so you know, the recipe is going to be down below in the show notes, so don't forget to click on that. Then we're going to add in my secret ingredient here. So this is called coconut, that's this one. It's called coconut aminos. So this is what you can use in place of soy sauce. Coconut aminos is a salty, sweet condiment, and it's basically the sap from coconut palms. And that sap is then fermented, and then it's blended with sea salt. So you can use it in place of soy sauce in a lot of recipes, and again, it has way less sodium in it, 73% less sodium. That's huge, but you're still going to get a lot of flavor. You're going to get that lovely umami flavor that we're kind of looking for here. And then we're going to add in just a little bit of sesame oil. So I'm going to estimate here. So we're going to add in about a teaspoon. Okay. And then we're going to add some fresh garlic. Again, whenever you can, always try to use fresh garlic. But if you don't have that, you can use the bottled minced garlic. And then you could also use garlic powder in something like this, okay? And then we're going to add a little bit of ginger. If you have fresh ginger on hand, please go ahead and add that in there as well. All right, and then we're going to add a little bit of rice vinegar. And then we're going to add a little bit of hot sauce or sriracha if you have on that home. And the recipe says sriracha. I thought we had some here because my husband always has sriracha. And I thought for sure it was in the pantry and it wasn't. So, but oh well, that's how it goes. So we're going to substitute here with a different kind of hot sauce. So then you're just going to blend this all together. Now, as you can see right now, it doesn't look like much of a sauce, does it? It looks really liquidy. So we're going to do kind of a cornstarch water slurry in just a moment. I'm going to get my stove going. So we're going to want to heat this to medium-high heat. We're going to cook the chicken next in the recipe. So let me just explain the cornstarch water slurry a little bit. So with this, it's just a mixture of equal amounts cornstarch and water. Usually you want about a tablespoon of cornstarch and then a tablespoon of water for every cup of liquid you have. So I have close to somewhere between 2/3 of a cup, 3/4 cups. So I'm doing about 2 teaspoons of each. You're going to want to mix this together. And then when the sauce is heated up, when it's kind of warm, that's when we're going to add this in here. And then the heat and the starch from this is going to thicken the sauce. Now you always want to make the slurry and add it to the sauce. You don't want to just add cornstarch by itself directly to the sauce because it's going to make it kind of chunky and you don't want a chunky sauce, all right? All right, so my pan is heated up pretty good. I have a little bit of canola oil in here and also a little bit of sesame oil because sesame is going to give us more of that Asian sort of feel, right? So I'm going to add in the chicken. And again, I have this at medium-high heat to cook our chicken. Now normally, in past recipes, you guys know I like to use extra virgin olive oil for a lot of things. But when you're cooking at medium-high heat, you're gonna need something like an oil that has a little bit higher smoke point to it, okay? So canola oil is a great option for that. And then sesame oil as well also has a higher smoke point. If you want, you can also use avocado. Avocado oil has one of the highest smoke points. But in this recipe, I'm just looking for something that has kind of a neutral flavor, so the sesame oil can shine a little bit more and just give more of that sesame flavor to the chicken, okay? So we're gonna let that cook a little bit. We don't need our chicken to cook all the way through, but I do want it to brown a little bit on each side. And then later on, once the sauce is made, we're gonna let it sit in the sauce for a little bit while I make the bok choy. So a couple other options here. I have chicken breast here in the skillet. If you don't like chicken breast, because I know that can get a little bit drier, although this would be healthier, it is less saturated fat, you could use chicken thighs as well. That would be an option. If you really don't want to do chicken at all, you could also do tofu in this recipe. That would work out really nicely. Now, when you get orange sesame chicken in restaurants, usually it's got a breading on the outside, right? And it's usually deep fried, and it's usually, you know, cooked in a ton of oil. So that means it's going to have a lot more calories. So I'm making a healthier version of this. However, if you do want to have that little bit of a crispy kind of coating on the outside of your chicken, one option you could do is you could crack a couple eggs, whip those up a little bit, and then get out some flour, and you could bread these. So, so you dunk each of the chicken pieces in the egg wash, and then you would put them in the flour, right? Takes a little bit more time. It's a little bit more putsy, but that is just another way to do this. Okay, so these are browning nicely. It's looking pretty good. We just need it to go a little bit more. I'm just going to try to turn a couple of these over. Again, we're not needing to cook them all the way. We just see how they're starting to get nice and brown. And then once these are done cooking, or browning a little bit on each side, I'm going to put these in a dish. You can put them in a bowl that has a lid on it. That would be preferred. That or something that you could set over the bowl to kind of keep the chicken sort of warm while we make the sauce. Okay. I'm going to let that go just a little bit more. Again, this is a real quick and easy dish that you could make at home for yourself or for your family. Asian food is one of my favorite sort of recipes because normally a lot of Asian dishes have, you know, a ton of vegetables in them, so that I really like that. I like trying new kind of vegetables. So week 4, key messages for eating healthy is to create delicious recipes at home. So trying different things like this, trying different recipes, trying new way to make things. So we learned about the coconut aminos before. I'm going to show you how to make bok choy, how to cut that up if you've never done that. So we're going to learn quite a few things today. All right, this looks pretty good. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit here. And then we're going to transfer this over. Let's get our chicken in the pan and we'll get the lid on it. All right. Very good. Now we're going to make our sauce, or heat up the sauce. So I'm just going to give that a quick little whisk. Try to get all the good garlic out of there. Okay, so we're gonna bring the heat up a little bit here. I want the liquid to sort of bubble a little bit, and then we're gonna add that cornstarch and water slurry to it, okay? I'm just gonna mix this up too, because I did that ahead of time. You wanna make sure with the slurry, I don't know if you can kind of see this, but you want it to be nice and smooth. We don't want any lumps in there, because otherwise you'll have a lumpy sort of sauce. Okay, so can you guys see how this is starting to bubble? This is the perfect time to add in our slurry. So we're gonna add that in here. All right, and then I think I'm gonna take my whisk from over there and you're just gonna keep whisking this while it's in the pan, and that's gonna help to thicken the sauce. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I don't want my sauce to burn. It's tricky. With something like this, you need the heat high enough for the sauce to thicken. You just want some bubbles on here. And you got to keep moving it around because you don't want this to burn. And this may take a few minutes for this to get to the thickness that you like. Okay. All right. Looking really good. And this is a little secret trick you can use to thicken almost anything. You know, if you're making chicken, you're making any kind of meat, or you need to thicken any kind of sauce, you can take the liquid from what you're cooking and then just make one of those cornstarch and water slurries and add it in there. Grab all those flavors from what you cooked. Okay, so let's turn that down a little bit now. It's looking really good. Certainly looks a lot better than before, doesn't it? That looks really nice. So I think that's about to the thickness that I want it. So I'm going to turn down the heat. And I'm going to add the chicken back in. Yeah, that looks really nice, doesn't it? Okay. And if you like more sauce, then double all the sauce ingredients for this recipe. All right. Okay. All right, so we're gonna let that kind of sit in here. And again, the chicken's gonna cook a little bit more while it's sitting in the sauce while we make everything else. All right. Okay, I'm gonna keep that on about medium-low just so we don't overcook that either. All right, next step here, I'm just gonna heat the stove on this side and we are going to work on making the bok choy. All right, so I'm gonna get that going again. Now in the pan, I do have the canola oil and the sesame oil again. We're just gonna let that heat up a little bit more. Actually, I don't think I added the sesame oil to this one, so let me get a little bit of that in there. I can see it's not in there. Okay. All right, so let's come on over here and we're gonna cut up some bok choy. So bok choy is gonna come in a big bunch. There's gonna be several of these leaves in there. Usually there's either leaves this size or sometimes you can find them smaller, like a baby bok choy. Oh, let me turn that down. I can hear it bubbling back there. So what you're going to do when you get the bunch and you want to prep your bok choy, and if you really want to make things easy on yourself, you can cut this up ahead of time so it's all ready to go for dinner. So in the big bunch, what you do on the bottom is you're going to cut off the bottom part, and then you can break off these individual leaves. And then you do want to rinse them under cold running water because these grow in the ground. They're in the cabbage family. They get really dirty. So make sure you rinse them off really well. And then you're going to want to take either paper towels or a clean kitchen towel, and you're going to dry them off, okay? Kind of pat them down so they're nice and dry. We don't want them wet when they go in the pan to saute them. And then the next step is you're going to cut it up. So one of the easiest things you can do with one of these long ones is you're just going to kind of cut it down the middle. And if you have several of these, cut a bunch of them that way, and then you can stack them on top of each other. And then you just cut them to the thickness that you want, right? And you can eat both the white crunchy part, and then you can also eat the green parts as well. Okay, and you can always tear the green parts down into the sizes that you like. And this is a great thing to try if you've never had bok choy before. It's a very crunchy sort of vegetable. It has sort of a peppery it's mild and kind of peppery at the same time, which is interesting. But that's how you cut it up, so it's super easy to do. All right, so I think our pan is ready here. So we are gonna saute the broccoli. So again, I cut this stuff up last night just so it's all ready to go. And I just stored it in the refrigerator with a paper towel inside. So we're gonna add this to our heated skillet. And you want a pretty good size one. So I saved my large skillet for this. Just gonna turn the handle around. Now this may take about 3 to 4 minutes roughly for the bok choy to get wilted. And then once this is close to finishing, I'm just trying to get it all covered, trying to get the oil. Again, I use the canola oil and the sesame oil on these because we're cooking at a little bit higher temperature. I've got it on like medium-high heat, just so these oils don't burn in the pan. All right, so they're all coated in the oil nicely. So now we're gonna let them sit for a little bit. I'll kind of saute them here and there. When it gets toward the end of the cooking time, we're gonna add in some garlic and we're gonna add in some ginger as well. Ginger is one of those spices that's used a lot in Asian cooking. So it's gonna give it that nice Asian flavor. If you want, you can add hot sauce to it after that. If you like it a little more spicy, you could add some crushed red pepper to it. So you've got lots of different ways that you could jazz this up. You could just add salt and pepper if that's what you prefer. You could drizzle sesame oil on top afterwards as well. So lots of different options there for cooking the bok choy. All right, this smell, I wish you guys could smell this. Wish I had smell-o-vision because I can smell the sesame oil in here. Now, one of the great things about bok choy is that it hardly has any calories to it. Like a lot of non-starchy vegetables, they're pretty low. So you can eat as much of this kind of stuff as you want, which is great. In fact, this is almost in the same category as celery, where it's considered like a negative calorie food. You almost burn more calories eating it than what's in here. All right, so this actually looks pretty good. I don't know if you could see this up close. The leaves are getting that nice dark green kind of color, and these white parts are still gonna stay sort of crunchy. So I'm just gonna create a little spot in the center, and we're gonna add in our garlic. I don't wanna cook the garlic for too long because we don't want it to burn. And then I'm gonna sprinkle in some ginger here as well. And we're gonna move all that around. And again, always adjust things in recipes. If you don't like the amount of garlic that's in a recipe or the ginger, go ahead and decrease it or replace it with something else that you like, okay? Our family loves garlic, so I tend to put a lot of garlic in things. All right. It smells so good. Almost smells like we're at an Asian restaurant right now. All right, so we are all done with this. I'm gonna take this off the heat. I'm gonna clear off my table, and when we come back, I'm gonna have it all plated and show you what it looks like. All right, we're back. So here's what everything looks like now that it's all done. I can't wait to try this. So here's our Orange Sesame Chicken. We're gonna serve this with, I have some brown jasmine rice. You can use a different kind of rice. You could do cauliflower rice. You could do quinoa, whatever you kind of like. And then here's our sauteed bok choy as well. So let me give all of this a try. Again, remember, we're creating delicious meals at home. So we're learning new ways to prepare things. We're trying new foods and recipes, and we're sharing these things with our family and friends. That's really good. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, down below so you don't miss any of our heart healthy content. Bye.